What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today I was kind of thinking about something in the game, and I was like, new heroes lately have not really been useful even a little bit. Like when we really want to think about it, the new heroes flop pretty hard because I was thinking about the new hero we have coming up this month. I actually even forget his name already. What was his name? Ilamak. Hoping he's actually like a hero that can do something, because most of the heroes we come out nowadays, they're just 100%, oh yeah, here's the hero. Then, oh yeah, next month, there's the Transcendence hero that can actually do something. I kind of miss the days where, like, at the very least, like, I'm not talking like they have to be end game viable, but like we could use even more heroes that are in the early and mid game are super helpful. Granted, we've had a lot of decent support heroes lately, but those like meta defining damage dealers we just don't have anymore, even for like early game accounts, because I'm not expecting them to compete with Transcendence heroes, but I wish they just have a spot. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about these heroes that we've had released recently, talk about the older ones. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's get going. So yeah, when we kind of take a look at the heroes, what are the last heroes that are actually like meta defining, at least in the early game? Well, obviously we got to go with like Eloise and Tix. They're two of probably still the best early game heroes you can have. Eloise, hands down, just best first hero to build, period, anytime ever. Even if maybe not even first build, she still gets so many game modes done. And Tix was right before that too. Man, Shadow had it good for a long time. They had Ithaca followed by Tix, followed by Eloise. Then we got Onkirimaru, which is like pretty much when Transcendence heroes were coming out. And then we had Annabelle, which I guess she is kind of useful because you do use her for Shadow Sealand pushes because of her Dread Puppet. And then Azrael. Oh man, Azrael was just a complete flop. These three heroes in like the past, year and a half or so, they really haven't done anything for the game. And even Azrael was kind of a disappointment overall. He's more or less just a carry that does some damage occasionally and doesn't do energy drain, and he's just a weird hero. And that's even when we're talking about like the Transcendence version. The regular version just is not used. When you look at Fortress though, Fortress kind of had it a little bit better. I mean, Holmes Young is probably second, maybe third on the list of first E5 heroes. We need more heroes like this that you can build in the early game, do a lot of progress with, and then maybe either swap out of them or swap them into a Transcendence. Granted, as good as Holmes Young is in the early game, Star Alchemist Holmes Young is definitely not a Transcendence hero to build anytime early on your account. Later on, if you do get his core, of course, as a Transcendence hero, I mean, he's one of the best supporters in the game. But again, he needs this core right here for it to be good. But at least the main hero is really solid. Saya, again, man, they can't get assassins right in this game. They're either overpowered or just non-existent. Fiona was actually really good at the time. You guys remember the unnerfed version of Magic Stone Sword when it was upgraded to Splendid? Oh my goodness, some Delacium, a Fiona, a ton of Magic Stone Swords. That's how you got a lot of the Void Vortex cleared out, which was pretty insane at the time. And of course, when Inosuke came out, when Inosuke came out, he was like the best first E5 hero to build, up there with Eloise. And this was like technically Inosuke, I think, was before Transcendence heroes, or at least right around the same time. So it was a good pick. And then before that, Sherlock was just like the meta defining PvP hero. But again, that was still in the early stages of Transcendence heroes. And actually, no, I think Sword Flash Shia was the first one to come out, and that was like 2 to 3 months after Anniversary, and he came out the month before Anniversary. So it's like at least these heroes had use even when Transcendence heroes were starting to come out. But the other ones just kind of flopped. Man, Abyss. Abyss. Again, Natasha, they just can't get assassins correct in this game. Again, they're either non-existent or overpowered, and she was non-existent. Rainia, kind of, again, not really of that much use. But again, she's a priest. She's supposed to be a supporter. not that great. At least Waldeck and Mirax could have some use. Waldeck is actually probably best used as a 9-star hero, which again is not bad. I like the fact you want to build a 9-star hero of this hero in the early game because at least it adds value to your account. So it's nice to see. Forest, again, very interesting because like Freya, kind of non-existent. Panda was like the go-to for every single PvP team, probably for like what, a year to a year and a half straight. So at least he had some use, and that was again in the Transcendence hero meta, which is nice to see. Gloria, I almost said Fiona again because you guys know Fiona and Flora I always mix up. Flora, these are non-existent. And then we go back to Rogan again. Either an assassin's overpowered or completely underpowered, and this one was ridiculous. In the meta of PvP where speed was literally won by like 10 to 20 points on a hero, but going first was just so important. He was so good, and then he was also used on just about every single PvE team there was. Again, a hero you can build in an early game, even in like a 9 to 10 star form. Heck, you can just throw a 5-star in your team and he can be useful. So like out of these factions, there have been a couple useful heroes, but like as far as a meta defining in the early game, we could really use more of them. And I know that might sound like I'm like wanting power creep, but again, if we're talking about power creep on 5-star heroes that are not Transcendence, I'm actually not that against it, because giving people more options in the early game, I think is like the most important, because right now it's just force Eloise like that if you're not forcing Eloise in the early game, you're doing so much damage to your account. It's not even funny. Are there other options? Ithaca, Tix, yes, but they are just far inferior. And then when we're talking about dark heroes, usually you can build like a dark hero, what, like as your 3rd E5 hero on an account. I mean, these heroes are not really doing much, as you guys have seen. Regular Elena really not doing much for our account at the point we are right now, though. Drake was probably the last really influential. At least Forces came out and was pretty interesting in the PvP meta because the Curse of Decay countered Rogan teams, because the second Rogans just threw buffs on their entire team. Your entire team died because of a 4C. So he was very relevant in PvP, even though he's not really valid in any PvE modes. And of course we had Drake. Drake's just the staple dark hero. But again, we only get like 1 light and 1 dark hero a year, really. Lately it actually feels like we've finally shifted back to 2 of each, but it's almost like 1.5 of each. Like we get 1 of one faction and 2 of the other, and vice versa every single year. This year it looks like we'll probably only maybe get, we might get 2. Well, actually no, Vulcan was what, Christmas time, so technically that was last year. So last year Light had 2 heroes. We'll probably only have 1 Light hero this year, and we'll get 2 Dark heroes is my guess. We'll have to see. I think Anniversary might line up with a Light hero, which is interesting. But again, these heroes, has been a while since you had heroes, but when you did have dark heroes, these 3 in a row were like, again, extremely meta defining. You had, again, another assassin that was ridiculously overpowered, not for their damage once again, but for their like combos with Sword Flash Shia. I think Sword Flash Shia was the main problem of why assassins were just ridiculously overpowered or underpowered. And then of course we had the Light faction. Man, Chinese New Year, what, 2021? That was probably one of the most disappointing years of Idle Heroes Chinese New Year, because the hero at Chinese New Year was always the strongest hero in the game for like a year, 2 years in a row. We had Carrie before that. We had Ada, I think was the one before that. And we had Tusi Lago, or as we call her, Trashy Lago. Wasn't great. The only one that was of use really was Andre after that, just because of his healing ability, but again, you really only used him in Sealand, and Eos is probably the only other one that is a decent early game hero, because again, she can get a Sealand done. Before that, and still the reigning champion in my opinion, is Russell. Vulcan though, again, is a good option because Vulcan can get Sealand 20 done, and we need more heroes in all these different factions that can be Sealand 20 heroes that then can convert into a Transcendence hero more easily. So let me know what you guys think. I was thinking about it last night. I'm just like why can't we have another Eloise for the early game that we can like build up and be maybe a shift in the meta? Because right now if you're following the guides, everybody builds Eloise, then you build Fairy Queen Vesa, you get your 9-star wall deck, you get your Delaciums, you got your, it's just like stale. It's too optimal right now. So let me know what you guys think. Again, me just kind of venting and thinking about things. I'm kind of hoping that Alamak is a really good hero for early game accounts, like really, really good, like pretty much Inosuke 2.0, but just even better. We'll have to see though. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys next time.